proper taste of the World Series of Poker 2017 today. Colossus tickets for the 10 a.m. flight. Today's Sunday. It's just about 10 a.m. running slightly behind schedule. On my way to the Rio now. I haven't quite decided how many bullets I want to fire at this this tournament. It's probably going to be one of the cheapest bracelet events you can find on the entire schedule. But I expect the structure to be super quick as well. So while the field should be super soft, it's a little bit tough to take advantage with a very fast structure, but it should be fun nonetheless. And it's a bracelet event. We're going to be in there. We're officially going to be in the mix. The WSOP. It's a bit of a balancing act as far as the emotional game goes here at the World Series. When you're entering some tournaments, it's always exciting to be playing for a bracelet, but you kind of just know that there's more than a decent chance it's just gonna be a bust. I mean, I know I'm profitable in tournaments, but I think you only cash in something like 15 to 20% of your tournaments, and that's for really good players. So you go in trying your best, but also expecting to lose the majority of the time. Slightly different from cash games where you win approximately 65% of your sessions as a professional player. So you go in expecting to win, even though you know you're gonna lose sometimes. Tournaments is a little different. You expect to lose most of the time. But it's all part of the same roller coaster, just with some bigger highs and I guess longer, lower lows. I guess it's just a matter of preference, really. Alright, so we're gonna be in the former poker kitchen, aka the Miranda room. We're out of the poker kitchen, former poker kitchen, going to the proper poker room, the Amazon room. We survived the table break. That's an accomplishment in this tournament. Me and Oscar.
What's going on?
Me and Oscar are moving on.
We're moving on.
Alright guys, we survived the first break, which in this structure is, again, somewhat of an accomplishment. We got to cruise through some hands pretty quickly here because we got about 15 minutes before play starts up again. So let's jump right into it, shall we? So in this hand we're playing 75, 150 with a 25 ante. The under the gun player comes in for 400, folds around to me, and I have pocket 10s in the big blind. I think I only have maybe a little bit over 20 big blinds in this spot, maybe even less. And I just decide to flat call since I have to imagine the under the gun range has to be pretty narrow in this spot. Flop comes queen 6-5, all clubs. Not an ideal flop. I check it and he checks back. Turn brings an offsuit 7. I check it over to him again, and this time he bets 650. Not really feeling it in this spot, so I just let it go. I make the fold, and the under the gun player shows pocket aces with the ace of clubs. So we lose the absolute minimum there. Always good. We're absolutely crushed. Playing the same level, 75, 150, 25. Pulls around to the button, who is very short. He jams 800 in chips. I look down at pocket sixes in the small blind. I rejam for about 2,500. The big blind says he folds ace five. We flip the cards up and we are in a coin flip situation against 8-9 offsuit. Board runs out clean for us, so we eliminate this player, and luckily we got the big blind to fold because he would have made the wheel. Last interesting hand after we moved into the Amazon room at the new table and now playing 100, 200 with a 25 ante. Look down at ace king in middle position. I make it 450 to go. The button and the big blind both call. Flop comes 10-6-5 with 2 diamonds. Big blind checks. Can definitely make a case for c-betting, but I kind of like trying to get a free turn card, and there's just not that much room here as far as maneuverability goes with our stack sizes. So I check it and the button checks back. Turn is 4 diamonds, so it puts a 3rd diamond up there. The big blind leads out for 800. With the nut flush draw and 2 overs, I'm gonna have to peel here, check out the river card and see what happens. The button calls as well. So still 3 ways to a river card, which is an offsuit ace. This time the big blind checks. I'm happy to try and get to a showdown here with 1 pair on a pretty wet board in a multi-way pot, so I check it. The button, however, puts out a bet, and it's enough to put me all in. I only have 1,900 at this point. He bet a little bit more than that. The big blind folds pretty quickly, and with the amount of chips that are in the middle and my remaining stack and this structure going on, just not much choice here. Gonna have to make this call. I've under-repped my hand a little bit, so I toss in the chips, and good news is that he shows Jack 7 for a missed straight draw. So we get the double up there. I didn't count my chips before leaving, but you can see them right here. All these pretty chips just immediately post double up. Structure's gonna keep moving pretty fast here, so just gonna have to look for some more run good, hope things continue to go well, and that's pretty much all you can do in this tournament. I will say that this seems to be a very friendly tournament. Lots of recreational players in there. Haven't recognized hardly anybody else in the field, just looking around the other tables. So very friendly, very chatty table, just pretty relaxed atmosphere, which is always nice. So gonna head back in there. Break ends in probably about 5 minutes, so back to it. Let's go. Look at that guy. Famous poker player. Tournament professional Brad Owen.
Man, you came from this direction over here. What's over there?
I was doing some vlogging over there, down this direction, way down there.
Oh, okay.
If I'm standing in this lovely, beautiful parking lot area, made it to second break. Things are going okay, considering, as I've mentioned before, very fast structure. So to be alive and to have more than 10 big blinds is pretty good in this tournament. Couple quick hands before we gotta get back in there. All right, so we're playing 75 ante, 250, 500 blinds. I don't have very many chips at this point. I've got about 3,500, so we're under the 10 big blind mark. I look down at ace 4 of hearts in middle position after it folds to me. That's going in there for sure. Get called by the cutoff. Everyone else folds, flip it over, and she's got pocket deuces. Happy to be flipping in this spot. Board runs out double paired, so ace high is gonna take down this pot. Deuces get counterfeited. Next interesting hand, we are now playing 75 ante, 300, 600 blinds. Playing 7-handed in this spot, and the under the gun +1 player jams all in. He's pretty short. He's got maybe about 5,000. Again, less than 10 big blinds. Folds to me in the big blind, and I look down at ace jack offsuit. It's pretty close. It's not exactly a fist bump, I don't think, but I don't think I can fold either, just because he's about to be in the big blind. He's pretty short, and ace jack, tough to be in that bad of a shape with an ace. So I make the call, and it's better than that. We are in really good shape because he has king jack offsuit. Runs out good for us, and ace jack holds up. So scoop that one and eliminate a player in the process. That takes us up to about 13,500. And then the final hand, final interesting hand so far. I open up King Jack of Spades, playing the same blinds to 1300. The cutoff calls and everyone else folds, so heads up to a flop of Queen 10 4 rainbow, 1 spade. Board is pretty dry. I don't think I need to bet. I don't think I need to size my c-bet too big, so I make it 1200. Fortunately, the cutoff puts in a raise, and she makes it 3200. Don't think I can exactly go anywhere at this point. Too much equity to just fold. I don't expect her to be bluffing that often, just because there's not exactly, as I mentioned several times by now, that much room to maneuver and, you know, put in some bluffs and be left with that many chips in case you make a misstep. So I think everyone's playing very straightforward for the most part. So while there is some merit to jamming, I don't really like it because I don't think I have that much fold equity. So I go ahead and flat call. Turn comes favorable for us. Turn is an offsuit 9, so we turn the nuts. I think if the turn was an ace, I would lead out, just because I think that card is surely perceived to have hit my range. With a 9, it might be a little bit more hidden, so I feel like check might be good. So I go ahead and check it over. She bets out again. She bets the same bet as she did on the turn, 3200. I only have about 8,000 at this point, so I think I only have one move here. I jam it all in there, stick in the stack. She goes into the tank and eventually releases. So we take down a decent pot there. Didn't get full max value, unfortunately, but no complaints. Cruising, hanging in there, trying to just hang on. I think we'll be coming back to about 30 big blinds or so after the end of this break. Structure's moving right along. 30-minute levels. Got to make some hands. Got to keep making hands. So it's a good start, but just hoping for the best. Hoping it continues. Not getting too ahead of myself at this point by any stretch. All right, heading back in. All right, back on break here. Not too much to report from the last couple levels. Opened up Jack 10 suited a couple times. I think we're playing 100 ante, 400, 800 blinds. Open up Jack 10 suited a couple times and get jammed on both times. Blinds go up to the next level, 501K. Open up Ace King and don't get any action there. Everyone folds. Once again, get Jack 10 suited, raise that up and get jammed on once again. So the Jack 10 suited, not really working out in my favor. And then nothing too playable beyond that. Played pocket deuces from the hijack for all of my chips, for about 10 big blinds or so. Jam that all in pre-flop and everyone folds there. Aside from that, I think those are the only hands that I've played. So getting pretty short here. Blinds will be 600, 1200, probably with the 200 ante when I get back. And I'll have about 10 big blinds again, maybe even a little bit less. So we'll be all in very shortly after this break. Just gotta run good in that situation.
Bust pretty quick, so
look who we got in here just in time, just in case I bust out this next level. We had to get the Boski in here. This guy is the professional at this game, this format, right?
You got good shove spots. Andes are going to be big. We're going to hit the money in about 30 minutes. They drop real quick.
All right, well, I don't know if I can make 30 minutes. That seems like a long time with this amount of chips.
You're going to have to make a move. You'll get it through though. Or double. You got it.
All right, check out Jeff's blog.
Whatever they can do.
More tournament stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of looking for good hands, shoving the stack. That's all I can do. He's got all the moves over here. Alright guys, we are on the bubble right here, the exact bubble. We're probably in the money now, we're just waiting for the official word. There's a big announcement coming.
Congratulations everyone, you've all made the money!
We're not chicken dinner. As you heard, in the money. First World Series of Poker cash for the vlog. Back to the grind now. Super bright out here. and hot. But not any time to really go over hands here because Poker Listings pulled me aside for an interview. Had to talk to him for like almost 10 minutes, ate up most of the break. If I find the link to the interview, I'll put it down below so you guys can check that out. But like I said, we're in the money. There's like 350 players left. I think I have about 40K in chips. So once again, gonna be pretty short. Less than 20 big blinds in chips. But we got 10s in against Ace King and held up there. So we got the full double up there. There was a hand where I opened 7-6 of hearts from under the gun. The player on my direct left called and the big blind called. Flop came Ace-8 deuce with 2 hearts. Big blind checks. I put out a C-bet. Both players fold, so take that one down with the 7 high. So that was good. And then the last interesting hand was a very short player jammed from early position. I called him in dark and ended up having Ace-Jack. I'd say that's pretty close to the top of my dark calling range. Unfortunately, the short stack player had 8-10 and flop 2 pair. We made 1 pair, so 2 pair beats 1 pair, which means he wins that hand. So just riding the waves. I think the minimum cash is now somewhere around $1,000. We're guaranteed somewhere around 1,000. There's no big money for a while, so just kind of chugging along, hoping it keeps going. Just got to see how long that run good holds up for. All right, got to run back in there. Back to it.
Okay, that was it.
All right, guys, we made it to day 2. Just about to get bagged up here. I'm gonna bag up the chips and then come back and talk about a couple hands.
Yeah.
So I don't jack it up again?
So I cannot think anymore. And then 2, 3.
Just wrapping up the session, so to speak. Day went pretty well. I mean, I guess about as good as you could hope for. We got a couple hands to talk about. I guess it could have gone a little better there at the end. We'll get into that in just a minute. All right, guys, so I managed to find the TV final table, the live stream table, the fancy camera table, all that stuff, the big stage, what they call the mothership. Found it. It is here in the Brasilia room. Pretty top-notch production usually, and looks like this year's no different. A couple of different feature tables, nice little podium that they got set up over there. Just a really cool production. But just need to wrap it up here and then call it a day. We've had so many hands in this vlog already, but just to go over the last couple interesting ones. So prior to this hand, we've managed to grind out a couple of small pots here and there. Nothing major, no all-in situations, but chipped up a little bit before this hand happens. And we're now playing 500 ante, $1,500, $3,000 blinds. There's an early position raise to 7,000. There are 2 calls. I looked down at Ace-10 of spades in the small blind, and I make the call as well, and the big blind calls, completing the action, and we head to a flop 5 ways. Flop is 9-9 deuce with 2 spades. I check, the big blind checks, the initial raiser checks. The first pre-flop caller puts out a bet, and he bets 20,000. Folds over to me, and I can't go anywhere just yet with the nut flush draw and 2 overcards. So I call, and the other 2 players fold. Turns an offsuit jack. I check, and he bets 20,000 again. It seems unlikely that he has a 9 unless he happens to have jack 9 and is just kind of milking me, keeping me priced in. I think there's merit to check raising, check raise bombing it, since it seems like his most likely holding is some sort of a pair in between the jack and the deuce. So I think there's merit to check raising. It can represent a 9. I don't think he would bet this small with a bare 9. But you never know, so just having that proper price with 2 overcards plus flush draw, well, now 1 overcard plus flush draw. I just flat call, and we see a river card, which is pretty nice looking 5 of spades. He checks out of turn, and with that information, just for sure not checking, I only have about 45,000 in my stack at this point, so really only 1 move, I think, with the size of the pot. So I jam it all in there, and he goes into the tank, but he eventually decides on a fold. So pretty nice pot there, the biggest pot so far that I've won. Pretty good river card. Before he mucks his hand, he shows it to the table, pocket 8s. So I was happy to see that I had 2 overcards to go along with the flush draw. Definitely getting a very good price, just too good to fold. It would have been more heroic of me to just check bomb the turn. decided to take the lower variance route, as I usually do. Worked out okay, I suppose. In this next hand, we are now playing 500, 2500, 5000. I look down at King 10 of Hearts in the hijack. I raise it up to 11,000. The button calls and everyone else folds. So heads up to a flop of 10-7-5 with 2 diamonds. I decide to bet 13,000. Button makes the call. We see a offsuit 9 on the turn. I decide to check it over to him and play a little bit of pot control here. He checks it back. So I feel pretty comfortable that we probably have the best hands here. River pairs the board, offsuit 5. Time to go for some value, so I bet 23,000. He calls almost right away. I show my hand and he shows ace queen offsuit for a very non-believing ace high type of a hand. So scoop that one. That one works out for us pretty well. So as you can tell, we're kind of just cruising right along here. Just making some pretty good hands, getting a pretty good late push late in the night. Not too dramatic of any situations, not having to put any big suckouts on anyone, but you know, making some flushes, making some top pairs, that's always helpful in a tournament. So last interesting hand, I've switched tables. My table broke, got reseated in a new table just before the end of the night. We're in the last level now, playing 500, 3,000, 6,000. The hijack opens for 13,000, folds to me in the big blind with ace jack of clubs. Just another one of those spots where I can probably 3-bet since the hijack should have a fairly wide range, fairly wide opening range. He's got a good number of chips. Not sure exactly, but I think I cover him, but he's got a healthy stack, so he's got a little bit to spare, it seems. Probably not playing super tight here in the last level. All that said, I decide on the flat call, and we go heads up to a flop of 7-6-3, rainbow. I check it over to him and he bets 11,000. I think it might be a little bit too weak to fold, although fold is certainly fine since the board is somewhat connected and we obviously with it. But I feel like he is going to be able to c-bet a lot of his hands, a lot of king high, queen high, jack high type hands. Lots of hands that we still beat in this situation. So I decide on a check call, and we see a turn card, which is an offsuit queen. I check it, and this time he checks back, which is pretty interesting because if he doesn't have any showdown value at this point, I think he might fire at it. I think he might try and rep the queen, but if he does connect, then he can try and get to showdown and pot control a little bit. River's a 5, so it puts 4 to a straight up there. I feel like my hand is just about as bad as it gets on this board. I feel like it's one of the worst hands that I can have. I feel like I can have lots of pairs here. Even some better ace highs in this spot. So having one of the worst hands that I can possibly have, I decide to go for the steal. Put in the steal attempt, put in the big bluff, about 36,000. Trying to get a queen to fold, trying to represent a straight or 2 pair, something along those lines. Unfortunately, it doesn't work in the slightest because my opponent snap calls. I show and he shows queen 8, I think of diamonds. No thought into it whatsoever, just snap call. So I guess we get a little bit owned in that spot and dust off some of our hard-earned chips that we earned by running good, basically. So unfortunately, I wish I hadn't gone for the bluff in that hand. Could have taken a different line, but I don't know, it is what it is. Tried to win the hand since I had nothing. I didn't think there was any possibility that I was going to win at showdown there. So went for it. Thought the run out might be okay for my spot, having check called on that flop and then seeing that river card. But who knows? Maybe it's bad. Could be terrible. We're bagging up 158,000 in chips, starting from 5,000, I think. Pretty good return on our money, I guess. I don't know. I think the min cash right now is like $1,500. Definitely not life-changing money, and we got a lot more work to do before we get to any sort of you know, proper payout. But the good news is we're 1 for 1 in WSOP tournament cashes. Right off the bat, first entry, make it down to the money. I don't know how many people are in this tournament right now total. I don't know how many are in the rest of the flights. But we played down to about 150 people, starting from 3,000 something people. It's always fun when the tournaments go well. When you run good in a tournament, it's always fun, it's always exciting, but a lot more work to do. So I'm gonna head out of here. I'm gonna go crash. I'm gonna get some food because I haven't really eaten too much today. I don't know if you guys care about this. Back here, I don't know, noon tomorrow. I should probably look into that and see what time I need to be back here. My apologies in advance for the shakiness of this camera. Managed to forget my memory card for the Canon G7X at the apartment. So I'm on the iPhone right now. Day 2 of the Colossus today. All the fields are merged into day 2 today. Play starts in about 5 minutes from now. 158,000 today is good for 19.75 big blinds. 4,000, 8,000 to start today. So we're in okay shape. Could be better, could be worse. We're not in panic mode just yet. Blind levels are 60 minutes long today. Yesterday they were 30 minutes and today they're 60 minutes. So we'll have a little bit more time to wait for some spots. We would much prefer to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 plus big blinds. 20 is okay though, no need to panic just yet. All right, so we're in the pavilion room today where they hold cash games and some tournaments. Play is just about to start, so we're gonna jump right in here. Let's go. We'll update if anything drastic happens or on the next break.
It's all right. Good luck.
You need to give me your ID and your player's card with us when you get up there, okay?
Okay, thank you. All right, guys, just a quick debrief here. As you can tell, busted the Colossus, finished up in 373rd place. The final hand, I jammed deuces from under the gun. We only had 9 big blinds remaining. The blinds had just gone up and I would be in the big blind the next hand with 8 big blinds left. So looked down at pocket deuces from under the gun with 9 big blinds. I think we were 8-handed. Makes it a little bit better. Super not ideal, not exactly a super ideal spot, but I think a pair with less than 10 big blinds and going to be in the big blind the very next hand. I think I had to go with it and ran into pocket 7s in the big blind. Pocket 7s hold up, that's all she wrote. I was pretty card dead today. The first level, I did actually find pocket aces. I opened up for just over a min raise. I made it 17,000 at 4,000 and 8,000 blinds. Got no action, everybody folded. So aside from that, those are the only hands that I saw. Rags, every other hand was rags. So that's that, moving on. It's time to move on. We cashed for $3,779. Profit of just over 3,200 for the tournament. Can't complain, I guess, with the number of entries in this tournament. 18,000, over 18,000 entries, finishing the top 400 places, 373rd place. It's tough to beat 18,000 people in a tournament, so can't complain. So on to the next one. Feel pretty good about it, pretty happy with the way I played for the most part. That one bluff hand with the ace-jack, I think is questionable, but I don't hate it. I definitely don't hate it. So moving on, I have to go and edit all this footage from the past couple days from this tournament. I haven't started on any of that yet, so it's just back to work basically. It's pretty tempting to just go grab a beer and decompress after all the hours grinding a tournament, because you're super engaged. When you're grinding a tournament, it's a little bit different from cash games. Obviously, the cash game environment is a lot more relaxed. You know, you're not worried so much. You're not so worried about the fact that you could bust out of the tournaments at any moment. A little bit different, a lot more kind of stressful, a lot more intense, especially once you get into the money or, you know, approaching the money or whatever. So it's pretty tempting to just go chill, go grab a beer, take a day off, but it depends what you want. You know, it depends what your goals are, what you're trying to get out of your profession. I'm trying to stay on the grind, trying to make some money here during the WSOP, and trying to keep these videos churning out. So, gonna go home, do the editing. That'll probably take me the good part of today, and then back on the grind tomorrow. So probably back in the cash games tomorrow. I'll have to take a look at the schedules. I know there's some other tournaments elsewhere, but for the most part, the tournament action will be here at the World Series. And also want to play some cash games over here and do a couple of different things. So that's all. That's all from here. Someday, maybe someday, we'll be playing over here with these guys, the mothership, the big stage. But today we'll settle for a 3K profit. All right, back to it next time.